Inheritance is one of the core concepts of object-oriented programming in Java. So it allows a class that is either a child or a subclass to inherit properties and behavior, that is fields and method from another class, that is a parent or a superclass. So it helps in code reusability. So to like no need to write a common logic again. So reuse the existing method and variable from a parent class. And extendability, you can extend the functionality of already existing class or created class. And it enables runtime polymorphism through method overriding. So it is a simple syntax. So there are some keywords involved here. I will see that later. So to create a class, we have class keyword and the class name. And to inherit the class, what we do is we use extend keyword and use the parent class or whatever the class you want to extend or inherit. So all the methods and parameters will be inherited. So simple example, the parent class here I'm using it as animal, which has a method eat. Then the subclass or a child class, which extends it and has a method called bark. So instead of having a separate method within a child class, we can use already existing one. So just extend it and call the method using the object created for the child class. Then you can see I have created a child class object, then using a parent class a method, then a child method. So yeah, you can see like it's code reusability and extendability. So again, we already seen what is class and object in previous video. A class is a blueprint or a template for creating object, and it has variables, methods that describes the behavior and state of the object. So the syntax is a class keyword and a class name, and have flower brackets, add field and required methods. Then objects. So object is a real instance of class. It is created using new keyword and it has its own memory and access to method and field of a class. So for creating an object, syntax is a class name, variable name, then your new keyword, and again class with small bracket, open and close. So now comes the constructor. So constructor is a special method that gets called when object is created. So it helps to initialize the value. Um, Again, constructor won't have a return type and cannot be inherited. And a constructor name should be same as the class name. So every class should have a constructor. So if you don't create a constructor, the compiler will take care of it, and the compiler will not write a default constructor like if you define one constructor your own. And constructor with no parameter or zero parameter called as a default constructor, and with parameter is called as constructor parameter or parameterized constructor. So it's a simple example which contains both a class, object, and constructor defined here. So I have a class called student with a parameters or fields ID and name. Have a constructor called a student or default constructor called a student, means it should be same as, or the constructor name should be same as a class name, and it has a statement which prints the message default constructor called. Then I have a parameterized constructor just to initialize the class parameters. Then display or user defined method to display the parameters of the class. So here you can see the difference. So instead of initializing the value, you can call if you can create an object by passing the parameter which will initialize the value and use the same variable to display the message. So we have a default constructor, parameterized constructor, and a copy constructor. Then comes constructor chaining. So constructor chaining is a concept like in Java. You can call one constructor from another, and it is known as constructor chaining in Java. So that is you can have a multiple constructor. Like you can see here, we had a multiple constructor with a different parameters, like without parameters, with parameters. Again, similar to overloading, but it's for constructor. So we use this keyword in constructor chaining if we are going with within the class. If you are using inheritance, like if you are using in the child class, we can have a super keyword. So let's see all the things with example. So the first example I'm going with within the class itself. So you can see I have created a class called constructor chaining, and within that I'm just calling new bus. So I'm just calling the new bus class here. You can see we have three constructors. So one is a default one, with just print bus is empty, and it also has this keyword. I will come to there. Like then we have other two constructor with a parameter string and int. So if you see here, at first we are just calling a bus, or we just creating an object here. Then what happens is it will call the default constructor. Within default constructor we have this keyword. So always this and super should be the first statement of within the block. And here I'm passing string parameter, so it will call a constructor which has a single parameter which is string. And within that again I have another this keyword which calls another constructor with int, like whatever the constructor which has single parameter as int, it will call it. So then within the bus constructor which is int, will print the message saying bus has number, then it will return back, then it will say bus has name, then it will return back, then it will say bus is empty. So this is the chaining, right? So here you can see the output is bus has number, bus has name, and bus is empty. So first we called the default one. The default one will called other two constructor using the parameter. The same thing we have like we can call the parent class constructor by using super keyword. So it used to call immediate parent class constructor. And as I mentioned, super should be the first line in our constructor. So it's the same approach. So I have a class which has a main method. I'm just calling bus class. So within bus class, you can see I have extended train here. So train contains three constructor with a string, int, and default constructor. So first, when as soon as I called bus class, you can see the first statement is this. So it will call uh, another constructor with string as a parameter. Then it will call another constructor with int as a parameter. Then within this constructor, we are calling super statement, or we are using super statement, which will call train. So again, it will go here. Instead of having a train call, we are using super one. So what happens? It will call immediate um, parent constructor. So you can see again within this I have a first statement to call another constructor with a string parameter with int parameter. At last I'm printing train has a number. So the chain, first it will print train has a number, then it goes here train has a name, then train is empty, then it comes here train has bus has number, bus has a name, bus is empty. You can see the output here. It's a chaining. So if we had only a default constructor, it would have printed only bus is empty. But we have used changed approach. That is, we are calling a constructor within constructor, and again we are calling a parent constructor as well using super keyword. So make sure that your constructor chaining should not lead to recursion. And means if you do like this, it will be a recursion one. You can see here when I as soon as I call a bus, it will come here, it will call bus with a string parameter, then it will come here, it will call a bus with int parameter. Again this without parameter will go here. So it's a recursion one. It will recur and it will cause you a stack overflow error. and string and like super and this statement cannot be present in a same constructor. It will give an error. And because super should be means both must be a first line and it should not be in the same or same constructor. So we should use only one statement, either it should be a this or super, because both should be a first statement of a constructor block. So here are the keywords which we use in Java inheritance. One is inherit, so one is extend keyword which helps to inherit a class. Then we have a super which refers to a immediate parent class method, that is either method or constructor. Then we have a this keyword which refers a current class object, an instance of to use to check if an object is an instance of class or subclass. So the types of inheritance, we have a single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and so Java won't support a multiple inheritance. This can be achieved using interface. So single inheritance is will have only one subclass, that is one. All this example which you have seen, it's a single inheritance. Like uh, a class will inheritance only one class, means we will be not having a multiple inheritance. Here is a multi-level inheritance example. I have a class called animal, dog, and puppy. So a puppy extends a dog class, a dog extends animal class. So at last the puppy will have all classes implementations. So that is, so if you have created a puppy class object, you can use all other classes methods. So you can see here I just created object for puppy, which helps to call animal method, a dog method, and again puppies method. So this is the objective of inheritance. So it's a simple illustration. So it's a single level inheritance, like B inherits property of A. So one will have a parent class, which means the child class will extend a parent class. Only one level. Then we have a multi-level, that is C inherits B, B inherits A. So at last C will have two class implementation. So then we have hierarchical one. So that is two classes will have a same class. Like C has a B and B has A. Again, E has D, D has A. So from C, I can use B and A's implementation. From E, so if I create a E object, I can use a D class and A class implementation. Then multiple inheritance. So the single class can't extend or inherit two classes, right? So it will give you a conflict. Like just imagine, so you are inheriting, like if class A and class B have the same methods, then C will be in the confusion to take the method from which class, like there will be a confusion occurs. So this concept was ruled out in Java. Again, if you create an object of C, then the constructor is called here, that the constructor will execute the super statement. Here again, there is a confusion. So which is parent class and whose constructor is need to be called. So that's why Java does not support multiple inheritance with classes to avoid ambiguity. That is, means it's called as a diamond a problem. So uh, in Java, we have a multiple inheritance via interfaces. Here you can see we have a class A, class B extends A, class C extends A, and class D extends BC. This won't happen. So this can be achieved using interfaces. Like we will implement the two interface. So we can implement two, like we can inherit two interfaces, but we can't inherit two classes in a single class. So this is all about inheritance in Java. Let's see simple examples of inheritance, like a constructor, constructor chaining, and multi-level inheritance. So we have already seen that here I have a student class which contains fields ID and name. Then default constructor, like default constructor is called, and parameterize constructor to initialize the fields, then display method which will display the value. So just to create an object and assigning the value, I have this approach, and again we have another approach like directly initializing value by calling constructor. So let me execute this. You can see default constructor is called as soon as I have created like object, default constructor will called and it will print the message, then initializing, then display will display the value which are initialized, then again creating object with parameterized constructor. So here I have initialized. So if I means the first creation called the default one, the second initial or second creation of object called the parameterized constructor and initialize the value, the display will display the information. Again constructor chaining, which you already seen before. So if I execute this code, as soon as I call a bus constructor or as soon as I create a bus class object, it will come here, and this has like this keyword will call the other constructor within class which has a parameter string. Then again we have this keyword which has int parameter, so it will call int parameter. Then finally it should print train has number, then train has name, train has empty. Then it will come here. I have a super method here as soon because first I called bus, so it should come here, right? So super a keyword called the train method, that is a parent one. So then it will come here, then it will print bus has number, bus has name, and bus is empty. So empty one is for default constructor. So if we didn't extended this and we didn't had a super one, it will it's supposed to use only bus class, but we have extend here. You can see the chaining between two classes and the same constructor within those classes. So this is about chaining of constructor in Java. Then comes a multi-level inheritance. So we don't have multiple. So I have explained this process like we have a puppy class which extends another class, that is a dog. Dog extends animal, and animal has some implementation. So if you or if we create object of puppy class, what happens is all other classes or parent classes implementation will be inherited. So we can call all the method using a single object itself. So let me execute this. You can see eating, barking, and weeping. So all the implementation can be utilized using a single object itself. This is about inheritance, multi-level inheritance in Java. Thanks for watching.